at least 45 minutes to 1 hour of physical activity is a must. Okay, so vitamin D, the requirement is around what we say is the recommended daily allowance is around 600 international units per day. And one more thing is, when you are obese, the excess body fat and the excess body weight creates pressure on your bones. Certain other elements which are required in those slight good quantity include silicon, zinc, magnesium. So you have to have a complete balanced diet, give nutritious diet, a balanced diet, and have a good activity based life to make your bones stronger.
Namaste everyone, welcome to our podcast channel Kautilya Konnect. I'm Ananya CR, a day scholar at Kautilya Vidyalaya studying in grade 9. Love your bones, protect your future. To thrive in life, you need 3 bones: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. We are here to focus on a part of us which is not visible to our eyes but are absolutely essential: our bones. Nutrition influences all body system and skeletal system is no exception. Our lifestyle choices impact the health of our bones. Bones are the living tissues which are dynamic and are in a constant state of breaking down and rebuilding to withstand mechanical forces. Bones are the dynamic tissues in the body which serve several functions, such as providing structure, protecting internal organs, anchoring muscles, and storing calcium. Childhood and adolescence are a very important time for the formation of bone, the stage in which bones grow both in size as well as strength. So now, let's go bone deep into one of the most remarkable systems in the human body. We have a very special personality who would give us an insight about today's relevant topic: bone health in children who develop to become strong human beings. So here we have Dr. Thrupthi S, who is the Pediatrician and Endocrinologist working in Avant PKG Hospital. Doctor, welcome to Kautilya Konnect podcast. We're so honored to have you here with us today. So here are some bone-burning questions for you.
Thank you for inviting.
So how can a parent ensure a healthy bone development in children?
So our bones actually start gaining their strength right from the childhood itself. Okay, so around 95% of the bone mass and the density whatever develops, it develops during this childhood and teenage, adolescence what we call, and 95% is completed by 20 years of age itself. So that's the most crucial age, and to the growing bones we need to add the strength during this period. So how do we add strength? First, by a healthy lifestyle. Right from pregnancy, there should be a balanced diet followed by the mother. Once the baby is born, exclusive breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is very helpful for the bone. Okay, so that should be followed. And then in the childhood, we should maintain a very balanced diet. Okay, we need to consume all the nutrients which are required for the bone development. And another thing is exercise regularly. Okay, no sedentary lifestyle. At least 45 minutes to 1 hour of physical activity is a must. Okay, and avoid junk food. Okay, it's available everywhere, but you have to avoid it for the better development of the bones and the entire body also. And in the teenagers and the adolescents, you need to develop healthy lifestyles. Avoid tobacco, avoid smoking, avoid alcohol consumption. So with this a healthy lifestyle, we can develop good strength in the bones with the consumption of few nutrients which I'll be telling. Okay, the bone protective nutrients and the elements. Yeah.
Now I see the reason why our parents and our teachers keep advising us to consume more of nutritious food.
Yes.
So healthy habits matter a lot in this case, right? But then children tend to consume more of junk food nowadays. So what dietary elements do you suggest the most?
Yes. There are few elements which are required for the bone development itself. The first and foremost thing, as we all know, calcium. Calcium maintains the bones, builds the bones. The more you eat calcium, the stronger your bones become. So calcium is one of the main elements which is required for the development of the bones. Okay, it adds to the bone mass and the density. And the amount of calcium which is to be consumed, I can say for a child around 4 to 8 years, it's around 1300 mg per day. 8 to 18 years, it's around 1000 mg per day. So certain calcium rich foods, if you ask me, first thing, milk and milk products, yogurt, cheese, okay. And the other things are green leafy vegetables, your beans, okay, lentils, and the other things include the almonds. Okay. These are certain calcium rich foods, okay, you have to incorporate in your diet. And only if you have calcium, if you don't have vitamin D, then the calcium won't be absorbed into the bones and in the body. So vitamin D is very much important for our bones. So vitamin D, the requirement is around, what we say is the recommended daily allowance is around 600 international units per day in a child and in an adolescent. So what are the vitamin D rich foods? Certain foods like milk, the fish, egg yolk, mushrooms, and orange juice. Okay, these are the foods which are rich in vitamin D. Along with calcium and vitamin D, we have certain other elements also which are required for the building up of the bones to increase the mass and the density, like magnesium. Okay, so magnesium is required for the action of this calcium and vitamin D in the bones also, and it increases the density of the bones. So if there is any deficiency in magnesium, there is decrease in the bone density, leading to condition called as osteoporosis, the brittle bones, weak bones we say. So certain magnesium rich foods are like your almonds, your cashews, okay, your spinach, okay, all these are rich in magnesium. Certain other elements which are required in those slight good quantity include silicon, zinc, magnesium. So you have to have a complete balanced diet, okay. Avoid junk food as much as possible, because junk food will not have any of these. It will be just carbohydrates and bad fats, I should say. So avoid it, have a balanced diet.
Okay. So we do physical exercises every day. So even in school we do some of the stuffs like that. So what type of activities do you recommend for us?
Yes, physical activity is a must for each and every child. So how do physical activities influence bone growth, if you ask me, means, see, when you do the physical activity, the stress in the bones increases. Okay, this helps in bone formation, what we call as bone remodeling. The synthesis and the resorption takes place that leads to the formation of the mature bones. So the bone density and the mass increases. So what type of activities, if you ask me, it would be the action of the anti-gravity muscles, like walking, jumping, skipping, dancing, okay, all these which pulls the muscle, the tensile strength increases, okay, and these kind of activities make your bones strong.
Of course, everybody loves to have strong bones. So I suggest, even the doctors suggest that we need to have a very strong bone and consume more of nutritious food. So coming to the disorders, what kind of disorders does children face? Like children are affected, and what are the symptoms?
Yes, disorders can be different kinds. So they can be injuries to the bones, okay, wherein the child has fractures or some tears, wherein the child will have pain, swelling in that region, and there is a history of trauma also. It can be infections to the bones, okay, wherein there is collection of pus, there is pain, there is inflammation in the bones, okay, the child will present with the pain, swelling in that conditions. And we have some conditions called as metabolic bone disorders, wherein there is skeletal homeostasis is impaired, and there is abnormalities of this calcium, phosphorus, and the vitamin D levels in the blood, okay. And these conditions require a quite longer treatment, and the bones can also have, the bones can also get affected with cancerous conditions also. So these are few conditions. I'm just giving an overview of it, okay. And this requires early diagnosis and treatment, which will yield a better prognosis.
So there's a saying that prevention is better than cure. So can these disorders be prevented?
Some of them can be prevented. You can prevent the injuries by being careful. Yes, you can prevent some infections also. okay, by being hygienic. And some conditions like your brittle bone conditions, the rickets and the osteoporosis can be prevented if you have adequate nutrition right from your birth itself. Okay, and so certain conditions can be prevented with adequate nutrition and lifestyle changes.
It's actually pretty interesting to know these stuff.
Yeah, and there are quite a group of conditions called as the genetic disorders also. So these genetic disorders, the child may have disproportionate bones, and there is abnormalities like you see the swelling, the bending of the bones. So the genetic factors also play a very important role. The hereditary factors also play a very important role. The thing is, early diagnosis and intervention. Early intervention should be done. So the regular checkups, regular monitoring, if you find any abnormalities like your height is not increasing, like you have a bending of the bones, which you may notice at 1 year itself, 1.5 year itself. Okay, you have to go to the doctor, get a consultation done, check for any x-rays and any vitamin D levels, calcium levels, any abnormalities is there. So your doctor will advise you about it and take treatment for that. So the prevention is better than cure. Even if there is any abnormalities also, the early detection and early interventions will lead to a better conditions.
I think this is actually getting a pretty interesting, So, there is actually a common confusion between parents whether to provide their children with supplements or not. So, whether do you recommend it?
Yes, in the infancy, I mean the first 1 year of life, we supplement all the children with vitamin D and some children with calcium also. Vitamin D supplementation is required in most of them because in India especially, we have around 70 to 90% of the, adolescents, adults, children have vitamin D deficiencies. So the conditions being indoor most of the times, so no exposure to sunlight, no proper exposure I should say to sunlight, and this can be overcome by vitamin D supplementation. And if you have any disorders, calcium and phosphorus disorders, yes, we do recommend supplementations. Otherwise, routine vitamin D supplementation is advised, and if there is in the elderly age group, if there's any osteoporosis conditions and that requires calcium and vitamin D supplementation.
It feels so great to get a better clarity about this. So, are there any risk factors coming to hormones in the case of bones?
We have certain hormones, a lot of hormones controlling bone health. So the three main hormones which control our bones, the one is the parathyroid hormone. We have the parathyroid glands which produce these hormones. So this parathyroid hormone maintains the calcium levels in the blood. If the calcium levels are low or high, it is sensitized by the parathyroid hormone. Based on that, the bone formation or the bone resorption occurs. Okay, the one more thing is calcitriol. It is produced from vitamin D, and this causes absorption of vitamin D and calcium in the body. Okay, this causes calcium and the phosphorus levels are maintained by this hormone in our body. There is one more hormone called calcitonin. Okay, this is bone protective. Okay, and this prevents the bone breakdown. There are a lot of other hormones also, like especially the estrogen and the testosterone, the sex steroids, what we say, they are produced especially during the puberty, wherein their levels increases, and we have the pubertal spurt. Our bone growth also increases during the puberty, and at the end of the puberty, the estrogen levels are very high. This causes the bone fusion, what we call as skeletal maturity. Okay, so these hormones also have a role, and growth hormone influences our growth plate and causes growth. We have other hormones also like thyroid hormones and cortisols, the steroids what we say. So these all influence our bone growth.
Now I see the reason why vitamin D is so important for your body. So, and I've heard people who are obese have hormone levels that accumulate the body fat. So how does obesity affect the bone health?
Yes. So in obesity can be of two types. One thing, exogenous, when we eat a lot of junk, we are not breaking down the calories what we are eating and no physical activity. That is called as exogenous obesity. One more thing is a pathological, endogenous, what we say, when there is abnormality of the hormones in the body. Suppose I just told you there are a few hormones which influences our bone growth. This thyroid and the cortisol, thyroid hormone and the cortisol, if the cortisol is very high, okay, a small amount of the cortisol is bone protective, but if the cortisol levels are very high, it causes bone breakdown. Okay, it prevents the formation and causes destruction of the bones. So this will cause bone weakening. Okay, if that is the cause for obesity, that is causing obesity, then yes, it will lead to bone disorder along with that. And even in exogenous obesity, what I told, there may be a little higher levels of the cortisols also, and the thyroid levels, thyroid hormone levels imbalances also occur, and there is abnormalities even in the other hormones like growth hormones. Okay, this all will influence bone strengthening and bone density and the mass. And one more thing is, when you are obese, the excess body fat and the excess body weight creates pressure on your bones. Okay, so all these have an impact on our bones. And obesity, when you have a sedentary lifestyle and when you're obese, it is very difficult to exercise, right?
Yes.
So obesity in turn leads to all these problems. So it will have an impact on your bone. And even in obese children, what we see is the vitamin D levels are less. Okay, so again it is coming to the bone health. So you have to counteract this obesity. It's like a vicious cycle. You have to break the cycle to get a better bone strength.
Okay. So coming to the last question, why is bone health critical for children, and what are some misconceptions that people usually have?
Like you said in the introduction, bones are very important, okay, very crucial for our body. It makes the skeleton, protects our vital organs, make us move around. Okay, we have to keep our bones strong till we are alive, right? So some misconceptions, I would say first thing is, just drinking milk will protect your bone. Just having calcium will protect your bone. No. The entire balanced diet should be followed to protect your bones. Along with the diet, you should have physical activity, as I said. Okay, so a complete nutrition is required for your bones, not just having milk. Okay, so you have to have a balanced diet. That one is the major misconception. And some people say, like in the childhood and adolescence, they don't give importance to the bone health. It is only when you grow old, when you start realizing your bones are getting weak. No. See, bone health is like a lifelong journey. Okay, you have to have its foundation right from your first year of age. You have to have good eating habits, good activities, okay, to have better bones for your future, right? So worrying in the old age, not having a good foundation, it's better we start taking care of our bones right from our childhood. And some other misconceptions would be the bone mass tests, what we say, bone mass or the bone density tests. Okay, those are indicated only in the elderly age group. That is one misconception. No, actually we do bone mass tests, bone density testing even in the younger age group when there are indications. Suppose some children may have very brittle bones with certain pathological conditions. Okay, in them we advise bone density tests even in the younger age groups. And one more thing is, people say that weight bearing exercises or the higher activity exercises are indicated in all age groups. No. See, yes, I told you the weight bearing exercises, the anti-gravity muscle exercises are very important to increase our bone mass and strength. But along with that, you have to have proper rest also. A proper sleep hygiene is very much important, and you have to have proper rest. Okay, and this weight bearing activities should be age indicated. Okay, you should follow what is required for your age.
So I think, gaining the knowledge about bone health is something that we all must do. Taking better care of ourselves and also the one around us should be indicated more. So, I really thank you for coming and sharing such a great knowledge with us, which most of us didn't know. So, it was really a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya, and thank you, Kautilya Vidyalaya, for having me here. I'm glad I shared my experience and knowledge about bone health. I'm Pediatric and Adolescent Endocrinologist, available at Avant BKG hospitals. So today we spoke about bone health. A small message for all the parents and the teachers and the students. Okay, bone health is a lifelong journey. As I told, you should have a very good foundation. So give nutritious diet, a balanced diet, and have a good activity based life to make your bones stronger.
Doctor, thank you for taking your time to share your wonderful knowledge with us. It was really a great experience. So here's the takeaway. It's crucial for us to recognize that bone health is a lifelong journey. What we do today have a great impact on our future resilience. And do remember that nutrition is the key and staying active can have a great impact on our bone. Thank you.